What's up, everyone? Welcome to my channel. I am DJ, aka Talking Black. Got in here for the first time. Hit that like button, subscribe button. Trying to get that 600 subscriber mark. For each and every one of y'all, I truly appreciate you to come over here and like this channel. So, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I personally have enjoyed the movie. I've seen it twice already. Um, it was very emotional and very good. Not the best MCU movie. I still think the first Black Panther movie is the better of the two, but I still think this was a very, very good movie, and obviously, I believe it's the best movie of Phase 4. I like the route they took and everything. I have critiqued it. There's some things that it wasn't perfect. It had issues in some spots, but overall, I thought the movie was amazing. I know there's been a lot of different opinions on the movie online and everything, but it's my personal opinion. I thought it was a very good movie, and it did honor to Chadwick Boseman. And yeah, but we're here for New Rock Stars and their breakdown of the movie to catch what we didn't catch and get the ends and Easter eggs and all that stuff. So this is a long one, so let's buckle in and find out what we missed. Oh yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, I highly request you turn this off now because it's probably going to have heavy spoilers. So spoiler alert, here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this
Eric
is a
Voss, how you
breakdown
doing?
of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, a film that teaches us how in grief there is power, in a truly remarkable feat of cinema to advance the thematically rich thought experiment of Wakanda, somehow without its beloved hero T'Challa, the late Chadwick Boseman.
R.I.P.
We must
Chadwick.
dive deep into this film to celebrate how director Ryan Coogler pulled this off, breaking
Bravo,
it down
Ryan,
scene by
bravo.
scene, not just for the Marvel Easter eggs, but really for what I consider to be even more rewarding and easier to overlook filmmaking choices. But quickly, just want to thank the sponsor of this video, Inkbox. Spoiler warning if you have not seen the film yet. Over Black, we hear the voice of Shuri praying, "Bast, please allow me to."
Man, they
heal
jump
my
right
brother."
into it.
Now,
They
of course,
wasted
Bast
no
is the
time
Panther
with the
deity of
emotional
Wakanda,
stuff.
the entity that endows the Black Panther with their powers. She prays because she needs to regrow the heart-shaped herb, all of which was burned by Killmonger in the 2018 film, and Bast is believed to be the spiritual source of
Burn
the
it all
herb.
down.
Shuri scrambles in her lab to heal T'Challa by regrowing this herb synthetically with her AI, Griot, voiced by Trevor Noah. It's a gripping
that was Trevor Noah? Did not know that.
documentary style, underscoring
Wow,
this as a true medical
that is
emergency. Now,
something
the herb's
interesting.
DNA is shown in a double helix configuration with white orbs, while the 2018 film opened with grains of black. This is orbs of white, already cast in the Wakandan color of mourning. Griot reports the DNA's confidence rate is 25%, then 29%. Shuri says good enough.
Wow,
and orders it
I'm
3,
really
printed
surprised.
by
I didn't remember
her mother,
that Trevor
Ramonda, enters
Noah.
to report, your brother is with the ancestors. Now, T'Challa's illness
Angela
is
Bassett
never
was so
specified in this
good. I'm
film.
sorry.
Out of
She was
respect to the late
amazing.
Chadwick Boseman, whose death in August 2020 after a private battle with colon cancer prompted a rewrite of the script. This way,
Like I said, I recently had I had a scare with colon cancer. Luckily, I came out, everything's good and everything, but that is really very emotional and everything to me. But R.I.P. Chadwick, miss you dearly, man. Never met you, but big impact and big influence. I appreciate everything.
Ryan Coogler and co-writer Joe Robert Cole avoid exploiting Boseman's death as a plot point or a spectacle.
I got a
It's not
cold,
really
so I will be
about
blowing my
how
nose.
T'Challa died. It's about how to mourn. And so by using simply the
Look at
word
that scene right there.
illness, they imply it wasn't some cosmic MCU battle, but really a more grounded way that many of us have lost our loved ones, and truly the way that we lost Chadwick. Shuri is our focal character for this story, and this movie evolves her as comic relief kid sister to a true instrument of grief, who through her journey teaches us how to heal ourselves. Because while she's really trying to heal her brother in the opening minutes, her true mission of this film is to heal herself. Like the proverb, physician, heal thyself. Shuri's wounds will only be treated when she takes the remedy that she's trying to produce for her brother, and once she properly grieves her lost family, Bast answers her prayers with T'Challa's legacy. T'Challa is buried in a private family plot as water is poured in soil, hydrating this plot where Shuri will later plant future heart-shaped herbs. Shockwave the Shaman, successor to spiritual elder Zuri in the 2018 film, interrogates T'Challa as the son of T'Chaka and the descendant of Bashenga, the first Black Panther, and while it's all in Wakandan, the term Black Panther is in English, suggesting that, like Namor, this is a name given to the hero by the outsiders of this world. While T'Challa himself is buried here, his ceremonial casket is paraded through the streets of the Golden City of Wakanda, a festive celebration of life. Shuri, Ramonda, and all the Wakandans wear the color white as they did while they were mourning T'Chaka in the 2018 film. We pass
One of the people that a
guard
funeral
playing
should be more of a
water drum,
celebration on a
which is
person's
cameo
life
by
than like
Jabari
all mourning
Exum,
and
a
crying
drumming
and sadness
movement
and
coach from
everything.
the 2018 film, and a friend of Chadwick Boseman's, whom Lupita Nyong'o said would drum while they did their fight training for this movie, became a very important important part of their rhythm. One way that they try to keep Chadwick's spirit fighting alongside them in this movie. A tribute billboard with Wakandan lettering translates to "The Panther King forever lives in us and rests with the ancestors." Overhead, Wakandan jets crisscross in a flyover, leaving exhaust trails that are crossed like the Wakandan chest salute. The Royal Cemetery gate is flanked by statues of Bashenga on one side and a female on the other, both of whom have panther statues at their feet. The female could be Bashenga's wife or his sister. Either way, both T'Challa's sister and his wife play key roles in furthering his legacy.
Were they married now?
His casket and it rises up into the jet. The music is Ludwig Göransson's ancestral plane theme, to me the most powerful melody from his Oscar-winning score. It's the music T'Challa heard when he entered the ancestral plane to join his ancestors in the 2018 film, and it's the music he and we hear now. And then, under reverent silence, the Marvel Studios fanfare replaces typical imagery of Avengers with moments and script quotes
from right here.
As T'Challa.
This was this entire movie. This right here brought tears in my eyes because it was so quiet in the theater. You could hear a pin drop, and all you heard was a couple sniffles, and I had a tear run down my face. Like, it was just so powerful.
First, the script quote from Civil War when he told Natasha about the green field with Boston Sekhmet after his father died. Then our very first shot of Chadwick in the MCU when he looked over his shoulder when he was in Vienna in Civil War. Then T'Challa in a suit with his mask off. Then the script quote, T'Challa asks his father in the ancestral plane, "Tell me how to best protect Wakanda, I want to be a great king." Then the script quote, T'Challa said before the UN, "In times of crisis, the wise build bridges while the foolish build barriers." Then an image of Black Panther with the mask on. Then the script quote, "What happens now determines what happens to the rest of the world," which I think was just a line for the Black Panther trailer marketing throughout 2017 and 2018. Then the script quote, "If anyone found out what we truly are and what we possess, they could destroy the world. It's my duty to protect it," which is an alternate line from the movie that T'Challa said to Nakia when they walk through the streets in Black Panther. And then T'Challa crossing his arms in salute. Then we see the letters of Marvel Studios where the flickering images are more famous moments of T'Challa. T'Challa walking into Shuri's lab in the 2018 film, T'Challa celebrating at Warrior Falls after he defeated M'Baku, T'Challa hugging his father T'Chaka in the ancestral plane in the 2018 film, the moment T'Challa drops out of the Royal Talon Fighter to help Nakia in the 2018 film, then on the inside of the V, T'Challa swinging from the Rhino horn in the Battle of the 2018 film, then on the R, T'Challa and Shuri stepping out of the portal in Endgame to give Cap some backup, and then on the M, T'Challa shouting the words, "Wakanda forever" in Infinity War right before the charge. And it ends as it has throughout many Phase 4 titles, clearing all of these images with T'Challa punching the ground to release a shockwave. And behind all of this is a purple hue, the color of the heart-shaped herb. Fitting, beautiful, and poignant tribute. We transition 1 year later. Queen Ramonda, played by Angela Bassett, in a powerful, truly Oscar-worthy performance, addresses
I
the
will
UN,
say,
who tries to shame
I hope
her
she
for
gets
not sharing
at least a
Wakanda
nomination
with the
for
outside
Best
world.
Supporting
Richard Schiff,
Actress.
Toby Ziegler from The West Wing, is credited as the U.S. Secretary of State, an office which, during the Civil War era, was held by Thaddeus Ross in the MCU. R.I.P. to Thunderbolt Ross William Hurt, as well as leader of the Merchant Tribe Dorothy Steele, who plays a small role in this movie, but also
she died too. I forgot about that.
The Secretary of State reminds us that vibranium cannot be detected by known metal detectors, as we saw in the 2018 film when T'Challa, Nakia, and Okoye enter that Korean nightclub. Ramonda defends the Wakandans' actions as safeguards against the hostility
I love
of other
that
nations,
outfit she
saying
has
she
on.
knows they
Gorgeous.
whispered the king is dead.
Well,
Black
I guess
Panther
I keep
is
saying
gone,
it, but
and
Angela
now is the time to
Bassett is
strike,
beautiful.
calling out their treacherous betrayals of their goodwill. The last time Wakanda appeared before the UN, and we actually see these actions at a Wakandan outreach center in Onsongo, Mali. One of the many outreach centers T'Challa and Shuri opened around the world, including one in Oakland that we saw at the end of the 2018 film. French commandos attack these scientists, but Okoye leads Dora Milaje to the rescue, and we find out that one of these scientists is actually one of the Dora Milaje undercover, Aneka, played by Michaela Cole. She uses vibranium daggers against Okoye's insistence that she use a spear. The fact that the Dora Milaje already had to have someone here suggests that they must have anticipated this attack, and or other outreach centers have already been raided. And we learn in a twist, this attack had already happened hours before the UN speech.
Yeah.
So the Dora Milaje escort these commandos to the UN to shame the French.
Je vous en prie.
I love
Let
that.
our gracious response to this incursion be an olive branch.
Yeah, Okoye's French and other non-English languages in this movie is translated into subtitles the color white. Wakandan is always translated into yellow, and the language of Talokan is translated into blue. And of course, it's hard to hear the word incursion in the MCU and not think of Reed Richards warning us about incursions heading to secret.
I have a question though. How did they get all this footage for the movie? Like, did they? I mean, because it's obviously not out yet. I mean, the new rock stars, are you pirating this stuff? I'm just saying. Just got questions. I got questions.
Wars and Multiverse Madness. We should note that in the 2015 John Hickman New Avengers run that kicks off that Illuminati freakout over incursions, that seems to be Marvel Studios' roadmap for how we're leading to that. The initial incursion point appears where? Over the skies over Wakanda. Then onto an ocean expedition where a team of divers is using a one-of-a-kind vibranium detector to investigate an underwater drill that got busted on a deposit of vibranium. They're led by Dr. Graham, actress Lake Bell, who voices Natasha Romanoff on What If. The Talokan warriors dart past them in the shadows.
Where do I know Lake
and we
Bell
hear
from?
louder and louder their
I know her
siren
from
song.
something else.
The
I can't
divers
think where I know her
Salazar
from.
and Jackson get transfixed by a phantom jellyfish before the Talokanians kill them. I gotta imagine this was at least a nod from Coogler to Jordan Peele for the jellyfish-inspired UFO jean jacket and Nope, which hypnotic.
I haven't seen that spoiler, no.
Doom. But we gotta note, in this movie, not that kind of doom. The Talokanians break the surface of the
Whatever.
water.
I have
and
not
sing,
seen that movie yet.
hypnotizing crew members to walk off the deck into the water. This is based on sirens,
Sirens,
in Greek
yeah.
mythology, humanoid creatures who would lure sailors to their
That's a
shores with their
movie.
songs, but then cause those sailors to crash on the rocks of the islands. Atuma, Namora, and other Talokanians board the ship and attack. In the
Atuma.
comics, Atuma is a rival to Namor, but here he's kind of his second in command. They all wear breathing masks filled with water so that they can move on land, similar to the moisture masks of the still suits in Dune. Dr. Graham departs in a helicopter, but it crashes, revealed to have been thrown by its tail by Namor, flying with his ankle wings. And we cross dissolve from this
He's
into
calling
Namor and
Namor.
Wakanda, making it
Namor.
look like Namor is flying into that kingdom, as this will be the next place he visits. CNN's Anderson Cooper cameos, reporting on the UN speech. If you look closely at the ticker along the bottom of the screen, it reads, Scott Lang continues to promote his book, Look Out for the Little Guy. That book is Ant-Man's autobiography that he promotes in Ant-Man
little
the Wasp
Easter egg.
Quantumania, which of course is the next film on Marvel Studios' slate. Ramonda finds Shuri in the lab where Shuri is designing the exosuits that will
I did
eventually
not
become
like those.
Okoye's Midnight Angel suits. The Wakandan letters on Shuri's screen translate to flat line, which might just be one of her design template tool options, but also might just be an unfortunate word combination, reminding her of how a year earlier she found out her brother flatlined in the same spot. Now Ramonda says that the AI Griot unnerves her, saying one day artificial intelligence is going to kill us all, and Shuri says AI isn't like the movie's mother, it does exactly what I tell it to, which is a pretty odd exchange for a world that has
Yeah,
nothing to do with
Ultron, yeah.
But Ramonda tells Shuri she wants to take her on a trip, telling her to leave behind her Kimoyo bead bracelet and her Kimoyo earrings, setting up Shuri to have two separate ways of tracking her after she leaves behind her bracelet on the bridge. Ramonda takes Shuri to a riverside campfire to partake in a morning ritual of burning the funeral garments. Nearby, elephants bathe in the river. Elephants are known to have complex grieving rituals as well, traveling long distances to the sites on the anniversaries of the deaths of family members, guided by an instinct similar to the hand of T'Challa's spirit that Ramonda mentions here. But Shuri, always a scientist, is a skeptic. She says the hand was a construct of Ramonda's mind. Shuri says, if I sit here and think about my brother for too long, it won't be these clothes I burn, it will be the world and everyone in it. Now later, when Shuri enters the ancestral plane, she wears
Same thing
these
that
funeral
Killmonger
garments
said.
as the room around her catches fire. So in this moment, when she talks about burning the world, she is invoking Killmonger and his rage.
Yeah.
Ramonda nearly tells
But
Shuri
burn
a
it all,
secret
he
about
said.
T'Challa. They are interrupted by Namor. Now in the comics, Namor was the Submariner, ruler of Atlantis, Marvel's first mutant when he was introduced in Timely Comics 1939. But here, the character has been reconceived by Ryan Coogler to be played by Tenoch Huerta from the
I'm not
role
mad
of
about his
Talokan,
origin story.
but still having the pointy
It's a little
ears and
different,
eagle
but
wings.
I'm not
Namor
mad
says,
about it.
This place is amazing. The air is pristine. And the water. My mother told stories about a place
Yeah,
like
where did
this.
they get all this footage
A
from?
protected land with people that
I'm just
never have
questioning
to
that.
leave, that never have to change who they were. What reason do you have to reveal your secret to the world?
I am not a woman who enjoys repeating herself. Who are you?
I have many names. My people call me Akukungkan,
On.
but my enemies call me Namor.
Oh.
Kukulkan is the feathered serpent deity worshipped by the ancient Mayans. Talokan is based on Tlalocan, an Aztec afterlife that takes in those who die from drowning or anything associated with rain or water.
interesting.
The native language spoken
I'm
by
not too
Talocan
versed
people,
on
according
the-
Tenoch Huerta,
to the-
is
their
based on the
history.
ancient Mayan languages. Shuri observes that Namor is covered in vibranium, meaning that she can just kind of eyeball his metallic chest pieces and pearls and tell that they are all vibranium despite their different color and texture from the vibranium she works with. She's such an expert, she just knows vibranium when she sees it. Namor leaves Ramonda with the American vibranium detector and a vibranium conch shell to call him. And I just love this detail
Oh, that was
because it
vibranium?
embraces what I was told as a Florida kid, that when you put a shell up to your ear, you can hear the ocean. Nope. Really hearing Namor. The Council of Elders gathers, including M'Baku of the Mountain Tribe, the Elders of the River Tribe, Mining Tribe, Border Tribe, and Merchant Tribe. As M'Baku enters this room, he eats a veggie, a callback to his line in the 2018 film.
You're
One
vegetarian.
more word, and I will feed you to my children. I'm kidding, we are vegetarians.
The Dora Milaje stand on columns for the different parts of the kingdom. On the columns are written Golden City, King's Guard, River Tribe, Mining Tribe. Behind each guard are the tableau symbols in red clay, just like the floor of this throne room. They originally designed this throne room to be made of the same clay so that all the different rulers of the different tribes would all stand on the same terrain. One of these symbols is a large tree with expansive branches and equally expansive roots. In the past, I've compared this to the Yggdrasil World's Tree of Asgardian mythology, but in this case, I like the symbolism of as above, so below. As above, we have the kingdom of Wakanda. As below, we have the kingdom of Talokan. Now, behind each Dora Milaje guard, some new text has been added to the throne room. The full transcription is, "Rest in power, King T'Challa, our hero. 'Twas an honor, Wakanda forever."
Remember that from
Ramonda
the
sits
last...
upon the throne, and on the seat of it, the Wakandan translates to wisdom and loyalty. Actor Isaac Debenkele plays the River Tribe elder, as he did in the 2018 film, and surmises that
Does he really wear that
he says 100
mask,
kilometers
that
to
mouth
bypass
thing,
the river border.
or like a
Makes us
prosthetic?
wonder a bit about the Wakandan geography, because it is certainly more than 100 kilometers to the nearest ocean or sea based on the map of Wakanda from Civil War, but it would be within 100 kilometers of Lake Victoria, which would be a nearby lake that Namor could swim to up the Nile for the Mediterranean.
I thought it was landlocked,
but I think the math does check out there. Ramonda, Shuri, and Okoye deduced that there must have been a second vibranium meteorite that landed in the ocean.
Or
which
split.
means for them, the one gift from the heavens that made Wakanda unique,
The
a
whole
vibranium
history.
meteorite, was also a gift that the cosmos gave to the ocean of Earth. But it also poses a question, where in the cosmos did all these chunks of vibranium come from? I look forward to exploring that and many of the other questions from this movie in future videos. But Everett Ross returns to the 2018 film and tells Shuri and Okoye that the scientist is an MIT student, so they head to MIT.
Their
Remember,
favorite
this is Tony
colonizer.
Stark's alma mater, and currently the college attended by MJ, Ned, and Flash. Shuri
Oh.
and Okoye spy on Riri Williams, played by Dominique Thorne, future Ironheart. Thor actually initially auditioned for the role of Shuri for the 2018 film, and you can tell there's an inherent sisterhood between the two women as intellectual equals, kind of like what we initially saw between Tony Stark and Peter Parker in Civil War.
When Shuri first came on this scene, it's kind of, her dialogue wasn't my favorite. Kind of put me off, but I grew to like her, so not upset.
On Shuri's dorm room door is a note, Colat's conjecture 300 plus 1. This
Hold
refers
on.
to the
Did he say Shuri or Riri? I think he meant...
On Shuri's dorm room door is a note,
He said Shuri, it should be Riri.
plus 1. This refers to the 3x plus 1 problem of the Colet's conjecture. That's the most famous unsolved problem in mathematics. Presumably this is what Riri is actively working on in her spare time. Inside Riri's room is a flag of the city of Chicago, that is her hometown, and Okoye gets impatient.
Get out of my dorm. Get out. Hey, I'm warning you, do not take another step toward me.
See how they teach the children to treat their guests.
Put this spear in here. Who brought a spear in here?
That's a hell of a dorm room, by the way. Look at that window.
Hey. Put it down, put it. You'll hurt yourself. Come on.
It's all right, princess. Small girl. I am going to give you 2 options.
Okoye was pretty
You
funny in
can
this
come
movie.
to Wakanda, conscious or unconscious.
Yeah, remember in the 2018 film, Okoye used an itchy wig to go undercover in the outside world and in Korea. Now she just covers her head tattoos with makeup, but it presents its own complication. They go to Riri's warehouse, where she said she had to build a quantum computer to crack her own encryption. Quantum, you say? I mean, the future of technology in the MCU is certainly quantum. Riri actually could have been the friend who helped Cassie Lang build that quantum tech that leads to all them getting sucked into the quantum realm and quantum mania. Quantum. Shuri notices Riri
I
blueprints.
feel like she's
as
gonna be the
they fit
scientist in the
quote,
future that
Stark
helps
tech.
them out
So
with
it's
something
not
big
just
thing.
that Shuri is building
Her
her own
Shuri.
exosuit inspired by Iron Man. She is actually using Stark Tech schematics, meaning she might be building this with Tony's blessing through one of those MIT grants, like the one that he announced in Civil War. Tony's speech at MIT would have been like 8 years before this, but I assume the grant program is still functioning. Riri says there's an entire YouTube channel dedicated to sightings of me, which is another Peter Parker parallel, with Civil War and Homecoming showing YouTube videos of Peter's heroics throughout Queens. This might also be an account you could imagine Kamala Khan having something to do with, either posting content there or definitely replying to it. Okoye takes off on a muscle car, Shuri on a motorcycle, and Riri suits up in her Mark 1 armor. When it powers up, notice it makes the same sound effect as Tony Stark's repulsors.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is my favorite suit of all the suits that Riri wears in this film. The other one looks a little Gundam-y to me.
Yeah, I didn't like.
Full
I
coverage of
didn't like
body.
the
It's
last
really
suit.
just like bars and straps and rigging.
Her Mach
and
2,
zip
I guess we would
ties.
call it.
And she has this chest reactor in the shape of a heart. The whole escape is just very reminiscent of Tony Stark's initial escape from the cave in his unfinished Mark I suit in the first Iron Man film. Riri makes this rapid climb into the night sky, but she runs out of oxygen and falls, reminding us a lot of Tony's first real flight over Los Angeles when he froze over and fell and just caught himself at the last second. Riri catches herself here and glides along the river. Shuri and Okoye flee the FBI. Shuri uses her spear to anchor her turn. A government drone closes in on them, but Riri shoots it down and joins the other two in a victorious glide over the wreckage until, boom, look at this.
Water bomb.
A water grenade completely wrecks them, and Atuma and Namora and friends join them on the bridge, jumping for the back of a freaking whale. The actors actually said
that
this
was pretty
duel
bad.
between Okoye and Atuma took the longest of any fight sequence.
Probably the
film to
best
shoot.
fight
They kept
scene,
having
I
to
think, in
go
the whole
back and
movie.
reshoot parts of it. I love how Atuma's strike slides Okoye back on her feet. She has
I
a
love
vibranium
that fight
spear, and
scene.
she's not used to ever having to repel other vibranium with it. So defeated, Shuri requests that Tala Kanil take her and Riri to meet Namor directly. The next morning, Everett Ross arrives at this crime scene where he meets Valentina Allegra de
That
Fontaine.
surprised me.
Julie
Was not
Louis
expecting her in the
Dreyfus,
movie.
the shadowy government figure from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Black Widow, who is now established as of this film as the current CIA director in the MCU and Ross's ex-wife. This is a huge deal for the
yeah.
political hierarchy of the
Ex-wife.
MCU. This is what I was referring to in my tweet when I said that the hierarchy of power in the MCU was changing, and I said, Ollie, you're gonna get mad at me when you find out what it was. But yeah, I think it's extremely significant. Now, we don't know how long Val has been the CIA director because John Walker didn't really seem to know who she was. And the CIA director is a president-nominated and Senate-approved, very public figure. While the average person might not know who the CIA director is, someone like John Walker would know. But either way,
Yeah.
this means that Val's recruitment of Walker and recruitment of Yelena Belova to kill Hawkeye, all of these things had the full weight of the US government behind it. And now, since Val is going to be leading the Thunderbolts is going to be a much more public squad of killers.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely going to tie into Secret Invasion and Captain America New World Order
Best of
and
New World Order.
Thunderbolts. And Val just shot to the top of my list as Skrull-spicious, and Everett Ross right behind her. Okoye
I've heard that
reports
theory
Lucy,
before, like
Shuri,
it's
and
actually a
Riri.
Skrull.
The doorways behind her are now flanked with text. On sacred ground may we find, and on the other side, the wisdom of the ancestors. Now, it actually seems to be a misprint in the shot of Okoye, but it is what it reads later when Shuri enters the ancestral plane version of this room, when it transforms into literal sacred ground, where Shuri finds the wisdom, albeit complex wisdom, of her ancestors. Ramonda is reminded that Okoye raised her spear against her own husband, referring to
Yep.
Wakabi, Daniel Kaluuya's character from the 2018 film, who does not appear in this movie, but Ramonda says that Wakabi is somewhere, that Okoye can visit him anytime she wishes, so this establishes that Wakabi is alive and well somewhere.
He's in
Ramonda
prison.
shouts,
I am queen of the most powerful nation
Powerful line.
in the world, and
My entire family is gone.
It's gone. Have I not given everything?
Just from the trailer.
God damn, what a great actress. Like Wanda, for the mothers of the MCU, with great power comes great
Again,
loss.
I
Ramonda also snaps at Okoye
think she
for
should get,
standing that girl on her side when she and
at
Shuri had to
least a
fight the mountains.
nomination.
Something
Not
that
saying
was
she should
surprising
win,
to hear she's
a
still holding
nomination.
grudge over, but it's all coming out, and it hurts. Okoye resigns her spear. Ramonda finds
That
out
was
she had an
shocking that
orphanage
she
in
got
Haiti, and we catch a quick
fired
glimpse
from being
of
a
a
general.
boy who later gets revealed in the post-credit scene to Saint, played by
Oh,
young
yeah,
actor
we
Divine
did
Love,
see him.
Nakia's son. And the post-credit scene is revealed as T'Challa, and Nakia's son, T'Challa, son of T'Challa. That's the familiar greeting between the boy and his grandmother. Shuri and Riri wake up in a glowworm cavern, which we later learn is 140 meters below. Kind of a middle ground man cave for Namor to be alone and to paint, because yeah, you can't paint underwater. Shuri is told to put on a traditional Talokan dress. Riri says it's some supervillain shit, like Princess Leia, referring to the slave Leia bikini in Return of the Jedi, Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and she says that white chick from Indiana Jones, referring to when Marion had to put on the white dress in Raiders of the Lost Ark. But Belle from Beauty and the Beast, there wasn't anything that messed up about that. I mean, I guess it's kind of weird that a bunch of like clocks and candles and dishware is like, yeah, but
I mean, she was a prisoner.
dress for that beast. This whole movie's kind of Stockholm syndrome. Wakanda browse. Nakia searches a village in the Yucatan in Mexico, speaking Spanish, which shows up as white subtitles, but the moment she switches to ancient Mayan, the language of Talokan, the subtitles
blue.
switch to the
That's
color
pretty cool.
blue. Namor brings Shuri into his painting room where he explains his backstory with his mother in 1571 in Zama, which was the original name of Tulum, which is one of the best preserved Mayan cities on the coastal Yucatan. Spanish conquistadores gave them smallpox. Now,
I always wanted to go down
1571
there
this would be
and see like
about
the
50 years
Aztec
after
and
the
Mayan
Eternals
ruins.
witnessed the Spanish conquering of the Aztec capital and then parted ways. You could argue, had they finished the job, we might not have gotten Namor. Namor says they prayed to Chak, their god of rain and abundance, for a cure. Now, Chak is the Mayan rain deity, but in Aztec mythology, that god is named Tlaloc, who rules over Tlalocan. Namor says Chak led them to a plant underwater, sprouting from a vibranium rock. Their heart-shaped herb, but an herb that grows underwater. Namor's mother ingests this plant along with the rest of the tribe, and they wake up with blue skin, gasping for air, having to dive into the water so they can breathe, where their skin turns back a normal color. So other than Namor, the Tlalocanil turn blue only when they are out of water. We see the birth of Namor as he's born in underwater.
That was
he is
cool
the
shot.
first son of Tlalocan, with wings on his feet and ears that he says were pointed to the sky. And he calls himself
I wonder how
a
he filmed
mutant.
that with
He
the
says
baby.
that he has
Probably
the
a
ability
fake
to
baby.
age slowly and breathe both through air and through water. In the MCU, we're still gathering what the rules of mutant kind are, but it seems like every mutant must have some kind of genetic precondition that leads to their physical states turning out different from everyone else. But it also presents the question, do all mutants age slowly? Because according to the latter Fox X-Men films, that definitely seemed to be the case. To fulfill his mother's dying wish, young Namor returns to the land where he finds a slave plantation, and a priest says, "Thou art a demon, son of Satan." Not yet, Padre, but Mephisto's coming soon. The Tlalocanil burn the plantation, and Namor reveals the origin of his given name, that they called him El Niño Sin Amor, the boy without love, which he embraced as Namor, because he has no love for the surface world. So Namor wasn't just Tenochtitlan pronouncing it differently, they actually worked in a bit of Spanish wordplay to cast Namor as proudly without love for humans. Namor gives Shuri a deep sea diving suit to show her Talocan, and at first I wondered, wait, where did the Tlalocanil get these? Until I realized, oh right, yeah, Salazar and Jackson.
Yeah,
Shuri is wearing a suit that a diver was just murdered in. Nice.
Oh yeah, I think about that.
So Namor takes Shuri down through this tunnel in the water, which seems to be a kind of current. I don't know, maybe it's a type of waypoint to a hidden earthly realm, kind of like that watery portal that leads to Ta Lo and Shang-Chi. Now, I know China and Mexico are different countries with completely different cultures and histories, but I'm just saying, Ta Lo, Talocan, both of them hidden mythological realms on Earth, there might be a connection there. The amazing music of Bush and Ludwig Göransson's Con La Brisa guides us into Talocan, which is revealed from Mayan script translating to English, the way other location titles translate from Wakandan to English. The Tlalocanil played the Mesoamerican ball game, Pizz. The modern version, known as Ulama, this was played by Mayan peoples, where a rubber ball is bounced from your hip through a hoop on the wall. You might know it, as I did, from the Road to El Dorado. The Tlalocanil greet Namor with a salute, forming their hands kind of in the shape of a throne, but also an open shark mouth. As the
I don't know if I like about that. It's kind of a Kamehameha kind of thing.
I regret that joke immediately. Namor shows Shuri his central palace that is made fully of vibranium and is lit by a powerful light, his own golden city that he must protect. Nakia waits on a Yucatan beach for Griot to track Shuri's earrings and then dives into a waterhole in the jungle, a land-based waypoint to Talocan. Now notice how Nakia's suit is green, the color of her river tribe, but costume designer Ruth E. Carter incorporated blue to look like a river snaking through the jungle, effectively telling the story of Nakia's rescue plot in the second act. Namor gives Shuri a bracelet of friendship, the same bracelet worn by his mother, both an olive branch, but we later learn the plant DNA that Shuri can use to resynthesize the heart-shaped herb. So just to track the jewelry swapping going on in this movie, Shuri leaves her Komoyo bead bracelet for Ross to find. Technically, Val bugged that bracelet, but she keeps her earrings, which is how they track her down. Meanwhile, Namor notices that Shuri's wrist is bare as she surrenders himself to him, which she knows that he won't see as suspicious because she was not wearing that bracelet earlier at the Riverside fire ritual per her mother's request. So Namor gives her a bracelet, which becomes the cure that she's been seeking throughout this whole film. I love it when costumes and accessories have a practical and symbolic function in a film. Shuri tells Namor that T'Challa suffered in silence, and when he finally asked for help, she couldn't. Now, this is a nod to Chadwick Boseman in real life, who was diagnosed with colon cancer in 2016.
Yeah, no one knew.
No one. He suffered in silence while shooting Black Panther and Infinity War and Endgame. Ryan Coogler recently told Ta-Nehisi Coates in a podcast that he noticed Boseman would struggle during the Warrior Falls scenes in the 2018 film, and at the time Coogler didn't really know why.
Some days when I would find him doing things that were kind of inexplicable, like we would do these things in the water, you know, the waterfall stuff. So it would take him like a long time to warm back up. Like you have to be in like in a warming tent for like a long time. And I'd be like, man, that's odd. You know what I'm saying? Things like that, or you know, some days.
Hindsight's 2020. You don't realize.
Looking back, I'm like, oh man, my man's was dying. It's a shocking thing to realize, and it's also a thing where it's like, oh yeah, I can't quit. If he did all of that while he was going
exactly,
through that,
that's my thing. That
grief.
man.
So it's like, you know, we gotta push through.
That's why I have so much respect for Chadwick Boseman, because he didn't have to do these movies for us. I mean, he did. The man had his own issues going on. He literally was dying. The man was dying. He had all right to be like, I'm done. I'm gonna be with my family. I'm gonna take care of myself. But him being who he is, he pushed forward, entertained us, inspired us, and all this stuff. So, like I said, I'm a huge Chadwick Boseman fan. That's why Black Panther means so much to me. Not just the character, but for the person who played the character. So, again, thank you, Chadwick. Rest in peace.
Namor tells Shuri, my ancestors would often say only the most broken people can be great leaders. He's trying to appeal to her grief as a kind of compliment of wisdom, but Namor reveals the whole point of all this is that he plans to attack the surface world preemptively, and he wants Shuri to get Wakanda to join them in that war. And while he seems crazy, the scene we cut to confirms that to be essentially the case. The Secretary of State tells Val and Ross that the president plans to invade Wakanda. Namor meets Ramonda on a beach and warns her that he will kill her if any further intrusions happen to Talokan. Meanwhile, Nakia arrives and hits Shuri and Riri's telekineal guard with a fatal blast. Shuri reunites with her mother. Namor returns to find that dying guard, and Namor goads him to strike back. So Namor descends to his shark bone throne, where it looks like the teeth are actually made of vibranium. He wears a feathered serpent headpiece of Kukulkan. I like the symbolic contrast in the directional coronation of the two kingdoms. Wakanda's ruler rises up from the ancestral plane to sit the throne. Talokan's ruler descends down from the sun to sit that throne. Talokan angrily rallies his people to war. Nakia reunites with Okoye in Wakanda. Okoye says that Nakia left right after Thanos' attack.
When you left without saying a word, it hurt. I regret not being there with all of you. It was not easy. He was king and Black Panther to everyone, but to me, he was everything.
This means that Nakia was pregnant with T'Challa's son at the time of Thanos' snap in the Battle of Wakanda. And notice how here Nakia catches herself. She almost says T'Challa was also the father to her son, but she just says that he was everything, which he was. Behind Nakia, water just slowly starts to flood into the street. We don't even notice it at first. Okoye just begins to say we are under attack, but then the water bombs explode throughout the streets. Now, Namor flooding Wakanda was a plot point in 2012 Avengers vs. X-Men comic storyline. That's when the Phoenix Force possesses Namor and uses him to flood Wakanda when the nation harbors Avengers. Namor and T'Challa have a bitter hatred for each other ever since that in the comics. Okoye grabs a kid as the water gushes and hands him off. Ayo and the other Dora Milaje save some rescue workers who get enchanted by the telekineal siren songs. Shuri and Aneka pilot an aircraft to save a trolley. We actually saw one of these on the streets in the 2018 film. It's just pretty satisfying to see all levels of Wakandans immediately.
Yeah, I like seeing more of the city.
Namor joins Atuma and Namora on the shoreline, and M'Baku jumps him from behind but breaks his staff on his arm, and Namor punches him right in the chest, breaking his chest armor. Ryan Coogler said that Namor is as strong as Thor, and if he's around enough water, is as strong as Hulk. I actually recently broke down the power hierarchy in the MCU, and since Namor is technically the avatar of a god, that kind of checks out with the MCU's internal logic. Namor zigzags through the air defenses. He does this mid-air turn with his foot passing the camera, showing his ankle wings flapping overtime. Namor flies up to the throne room to face off with Ramonda and Riri inside. He stabs his spear into the glass and cracks it, then throws water grenades and floods the room. Ramonda is able to save Riri, but she drowns, and Shuri is inconsolable. So Shuri has to go through another royal burial.
That was surprising when they killed off.
Ironically, by not burning her funeral garments before, she left them to be used again. Just imagine how horrible it is. You just wore clothes for your brother's funeral, and before they even have a chance to gather dust, you got to put them back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yet the answer to Shuri's woes is literally tattooed on her hand. The double helix configuration with orbs. Her attempt at the recipe for the heart-shaped herb. And now on that same wrist is the final ingredient she needs, Namor's mother's bracelet that is made from that plant. Meanwhile, Val confronts her ex-husband Ross on his contact with Wakanda. Anderson Cooper cameos again, but this time the news sticker reads, Ritson signed trade pact with New Asgard to create something, but this is a nod to the new US President Ritson, who's going to be played by Dermot Mulroney in Secret Invasion. So again, we're getting a sense of the political hierarchy. US President Ritson, Secretary of State Toby Ziegler, and CIA Director Val. It's still crazy to wrap my head around that. Also, this is a reminder that like Wakanda, the colony of New Asgard, led by King Valkyrie, is in the MCU its own nation state with international relations across the world stage. Now, Ross reminds us that the Wakandans could be using their vibranium against the United States and asks Val if she's ever thought what the US would be doing if we were the only country in the world who had vibranium. And Val's response is interesting. She says, oh, I actually dream about that. I think it's a little hint that one of Val's objectives is to amass all the vibranium and weaponry under government control, or at least under her control. And maybe the mission she's going to deploy the Thunderbolts on is an invasion of or a heist from Wakanda. Or since Bucky's leading that team, maybe a collaboration with the Dora Milaje to steal back vibranium from some other third party who steals it, like the real intelligentsia. So the Golden City evacuates to the Jabari outpost. Shuri and Riri deduce that Namor absorbs oxygen through his skin and thus will be weakened by dehydration. Riri gets to work on new Ironheart armor made from vibranium. She hammers out a piece in the shape of a heart. Shuri gives Okoye her completed Midnight Angel
like
suit.
that.
In the comics,
Hate that
the
Midnight Angel.
Are Aneka's group of former Dora Milaje. Shuri is able to synthesize the heart-shaped herb DNA from the bracelet, and when it prints, it successfully glows. So Shuri sips the liquid and falls into the ancestral plane as Nakia and Okoye pray for her. Now, structurally, this mirrors the leap of faith at the end of Act 2 in the 2018 film when the women resurrected T'Challa to restore Wakanda's protector. Shuri immediately finds herself in an ancestral plane mirror
underwater
in the flooded throne room in the exact same spot where her mother Ramonda's life left her body.
I thought it was because the heart shape of the U was from underwater.
The exact spot of his parents' tragic death. Shuri
Oh,
swims up to
that
the
makes
surface,
sense.
and she's again wearing her white funeral garments, but as she rises out of the water, her clothes are dry. A really cool effect that makes me wonder if Letitia Wright and Ryan Coogler might have shot this in reverse. But here in the throne room, we see there is someone sitting on the throne behind her. Suddenly, we all feel a mix of dread because none of us want to see a CGI recreation of Chadwick Boseman. It can't be him. It can't be. So instead, the ghost who greets us is Killmonger.
That was shocking.
A surprise cameo, which comes
that was cool.
But also an intriguing haunting of its own. The scene that follows is my favorite scene of the film, cutting deep to the core conflict of this film while also recontextualizing everything we saw in the 2018 film. Remember, the ancestral plane is not
confirm he is dead though.
It's really a personalized vision where the visitor is able to confront their ancestors. There's some cosmic forces at play that decide who you actually need to talk to. One could say this is a request coming from one's own soul, but for T'Challa, it was to rage against his father for killing Njobu and abandoning N'Jaka. For Killmonger, it was his chance to revisit the Oakland apartment where his father died. But who does Shuri see? She sees her cousin, Killmonger, who taunts her, saying, "You chose me." And he challenges her for not even believing the ancestral plane was real, but just took the herb for the same reason he did, to avenge fallen ancestors. Now remember, as much as this is Killmonger talking to her, we could totally look at this as Shuri having a conversation with herself and all the second guessing she's been doing about Killmonger over the past several years. So why did Shuri see Killmonger? She already chose him earlier in the film when she said at that Riverside
I want to burn everything down.
To burn the world down. That was Killmonger's goal. And notice how in this scene, the throne room ignites the same way Killmonger set the heart-shaped herb garden ablaze and left Shuri with that medical crisis. Here, Killmonger defends himself. He says, "I had the courage to do what was necessary to change Wakanda. How many people like your scientists did Wakanda protect before I took the throne? Cowards, those are the Panthers who came before me and before T'Challa." Shuri tells Killmonger that he was a coward for taking the last herb and burning the rest out of fear of being replaced, that he left Wakanda with no protector, and that T'Challa and Ramonda's blood is on his hands. But Killmonger responds, "Don't you dare take that away from your mother. She sacrificed her life to protect a girl from the lost tribe. Your father, he was a hypocrite. He would have killed that girl. Shit, he killed his own brother.
He had respect
T'Challa,
for his mother.
He was too noble. He let a man who killed your father live. And here you stand. Are you gonna be noble like your brother or take care of business like me?" Killmonger calls Riri a member of the lost tribe, which is how he saw himself and all other black people outside of Wakanda, the lives that he fought for. Killmonger also invokes Zemo, who killed T'Chaka, and T'Challa forgave Zemo at the end of Civil War. I like to think that Zemo at this moment stiffened in his cell on the raft, feeling a shiver down his spine, but then just resumed dancing. It's so interesting to see Killmonger eternally sitting on the throne. Now again, Shuri has subconsciously summoned him here, but this visual presents a hypothetical that Killmonger could be in a kind of hell of his own making, where he's sitting on the throne that he always wanted, but ruling over a vacant dead kingdom, while all other Panther ancestors join together in a communion as panthers in a tree.
Oh yeah, he's not part of that.
Always be part of a lost tribe of one. This scene ends before Shuri can even answer Killmonger's question, framing it as a haunting nightmare that she's still trying to figure out for the rest of the film. She's afraid to tell others who she saw in that vision out of shame, because Killmonger was a symptom of her own moral illness that this physician still needs to heal. But Shuri still has super strength, and she suits up in a new suit. She places her helmet beside the helmet of her brother, the helmet that she carried in the opening funeral scenes. Now she has a helmet of her own, and Shuri joins everyone else at the Jabari outpost, fully suited up. Interesting how she joins by descending from above, the way Namor sat his throne. Shuri does not rise up, she drops down. She's still being driven by the misguided vengeance that guides Namor and guided Killmonger. When she lands, I like how the impact spreads via purple kinetic energy as her suit absorbs the shock of it. Her helmet has a dot pattern that matches the war paint that she's worn from past battles. Also on her gauntlets are open panther maws. Shuri leads the Wakandans out to the ocean and lures the Talakonil into battle. She chants, "Ivan Bay!" That was T'Challa's war cry from the Battle of Wakanda and Infinity War. Since Namor's punch broke his old chest plate, M'Baku suits up with new armor, bearing the face of Hanuman.
I wish you would have talked about the conversation him and her on M'Baku had.
Their shields, I'm pretty sure, are the shells of sea turtles. Awesome. Namora breaks the pulsing device that the Wakandans use to try to subdue them. Actually, Jessica Clemens interviewed Alex Libanali and Mabel Cadena asking about their underwater work for this film, and Alex confirmed that Mabel holds the record.
She's V-Chab.
Are you?
And holding
How
the
long?
breath.
How long?
6
minutes and a half.
No.
Yeah.
No way.
You gotta say that loud.
6 minutes, you can hold your breath underwater.
6 minutes and a half.
You're a fish.
Riri joins the
Six
fight in
and a
her Mark
half
II armor.
minutes?
It's got an
Wow.
heads-up display of her head in darkness.
That's like some
surrounded
deep
by
diving
glowing
stuff.
indicators, much like Iron Man's heads-up display. One of her controls reads max power. I like how she also installed some foot thrusters, similar to Tony's Mark 50 armor in Infinity War. Riri shoots at Namor from behind, but he's able to dodge the blast without looking. Crazy good reflexes. They're able to snare Namor on the Royal Talon Fighter. Shuri uses hand-mounted sonic cannons to repel the telekineal, like the ones that she used on Killmonger in the 2018 film. She claws down the side of the boat, kicking one telekineal, throwing another, barrel rolling, and then sliding down. Since both her claws and the hull of this boat are made of vibranium, they release blue sparks from the friction. And from here, she leaps into the Royal Talon Fighter, where she tries to fly Namor to a nearby desert to finish him off. But before they get there, he's able to use his spear to stab through the fighter and wreck the engine, causing it to crash, leading to this brutal showdown. The claws come out. Shuri and Namor slug it out. She dodges his hook and goes low, slicing off some of his ankle wings. He impales her on his spear, and since it's pure vibranium, it goes through her suit's vibranium weave. It seems like it's all over. As her life fades, she's transported back to the ancestral plane, the burning throne room briefly. Her greatest fear, that being consumed with Killmonger's vengeful rage, has led her to death. But instead, she now rejects that path. She claws off the spear, she pulls herself off of it, somehow leaving no blood.
The blood,
on the
yeah.
spear. Okay, and leaps over Namor and lands before him. And she uses the exploding jet engine to blast Namor, presumably most effective just by drying him out even further. And as she holds a blade to his throat,
He burned
both
an engine.
fighters are close to death, and they sink in this fascinating interlocking visions of their ancestors. For Shuri, the conflicts of the past rewind. We see the flooding and the battles before reversing, symbolizing her wounds beginning to heal, both the physical wounds in her suit and her psychological illness. Her mind is retracing its steps back to the mutually peaceful kingdoms of Wakanda and Talokan. And finally, Shuri sees the ancestors she wanted to see in the ancestral
Her
plane,
mother.
a vision of her mother Ramonda, who says, "Show him who you are." And Shuri tells Namor to yield so that their kingdoms can protect each other. Namor looks up at Shuri, and what does he see? He sees a vision of his mother reaching down to him. On this sacred ground, these two have found the wisdom of their ancestors. A closing montage shows Shuri replanting the heart-shaped herb garden in T'Challa's gravesite. She greets Riri in the lab and makes her return the suit, but leaves her with the car of her father that Okoye wrecked on the bridge earlier. Not having this super vibranium suit's probably a good idea, because this way Riri's set up to build a new DIY armor set in Ironheart on Disney Plus in 2023. We return to Warrior Falls, but instead of Shuri coming out of the Royal Talon Fighter, it's M'Baku. He says that Black Panther Shuri sends her regards, but M'Baku wishes to challenge for the throne. This sets up M'Baku to be the new ruler of Wakanda, while Shuri continues to be Black Panther, at least an intermediary one. We catch up back with Namor and Namora in his painting cave. It seems as though things are still a bit unresolved, and we realize Namor has been painting all this time a depiction of himself and a panther locked in battle. Okoye rescues Ross from captivity, making him a fugitive from the American government, and leaving Okoye in her Midnight Angel suit, finally with some headgear that she's comfortable in. The final scene brings Shuri to a beach in Haiti, where she finally allows herself to burn her funeral garments. She closes her eyes and meditates, and she flashes back to the images of T'Challa from the 2018 film, when he walked down the hallway to her lab and gave his sister their handshake, when she placed his necklace suit on him after he resurrected, the first time he walked into the throne room as king. As she finally breathes to let go of her brother, she and we are lulled by Rihanna's Lift Me Up, the lyrics of which become Shuri's prayer to her brother. Lift me up, hold me down, hold me close, safe and sound. Now, burning in a hopeless dream echoes the fire of the despair that she felt in her nightmare with Killmonger. In the second verse, that part becomes drowning in an endless sea, a contrast of fire and water there, but both represent Killmonger and Namor dragging Shuri down into violence, which is why the chorus comes back to the prayer of lift me up. And in the post-credit scene, her prayers are answered. Nakia introduces Shuri to her nephew, Toussaint. Shuri says the name Toussaint carries a history, referring to Toussaint L'Ouverture. Sorry if I mispronounced that, my French sucks. But this guy was awesome, called the Black Napoleon, the father of Haiti, who in 1791 led a successful slave revolt against the French and won Haitian independence. I think what I love most about this line is that it signals Shuri has, through her Wakandan outreach centers that she built with T'Challa, has begun to learn more Black history from outside Wakanda and has begun to reconnect with that lost tribe that Killmonger fought for. I mean, I don't know, Shuri's pretty smart, maybe she already knew this stuff, but it did seem like in the 2018 film, all she really seemed to know about the outside world was like Disneyland and Back to the Future 2. Toussaint reveals that his real name is T'Challa, son of King T'Challa. He would be known no more than 6 or 7 years old, so we would need a bit of a time jump before we see any real superhero action from this kid, even if he were to join a group like the Young Avengers. But a new T'Challa lives. He has his whole life ahead of him, and he knows where he comes from and who his Baba was. The Black Panther is not a burden Shuri must carry alone anymore. Her brother is gone, but Wakanda is forever. Now, definitely go watch Jessica Clemens' thoughtful review of Wakanda Forever that's on the channel, along with MT's insightful breakdown of the post-credit scene. I truly appreciate you all giving me this opportunity to break down this powerful film and to bring my nerdy analysis to this artistic achievement of Ryan Coogler and his whole team as Marvel Phase 4 comes to a close. Now, as we look ahead to Phase 5, stay tuned for some big announcements about some new projects where you will be able to see me dive even deeper into the details you missed from the films you love. There's some big things ahead for new rock stars in 2023. I can't wait to share them with you. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
Thank you, Mr. Eric Ross, for that breakdown. It was a long one, but we got through it. Again, a lot of stuff in this movie, a lot of, meaningful stuff. I really enjoyed the movie. Got a little bit more knowledge and stuff from this. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you've seen the movie, hope you have. You already have. You've watched it this far. Not you were spoiled by the whole movie just now. But let me know your thoughts on the movie. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? What were your takeaways from it? Yeah, let me know what you think for the future of Black Panther. Did they recast T'Challa? You like the fact that they gave him a son? Yeah, till next time, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.